I feel like I might get read for this episode later because I'm going to name some things that might be unpopular opinion, or it might be some things that a lot of people don't talk about, but the things have to be said in order for people to really get clear on what they need for themselves and their business. Welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figure Educator podcast. My name is Dr. Erica Jordan Thomas. I am a former teacher, former principal, Harvard grad, and CEO and founder of EJT Education Group, and I am your host. During this episode, we're going to talk about what coaching is and is not. And I felt it was really important to have this conversation as someone who provides coaching to Black educators and entrepreneurs growing their education consulting businesses, and as someone who has, as an educator, as a former principal, as a former school leader, has provided lots of coaching. There are a lot of misconceptions about coaching. There's a lot of misaligned expectations around coaching. And I wanted to take the opportunity to really set kind of some common language and set the stage of what coaching is and what it is not. So let's first kind of jump into what coaching is not. So I think what's interesting, and I feel like I might get read for this episode later because I'm going to name some things that might be unpopular opinion, or it might be some things that a lot of people don't talk about, but the things have to be said in order for people to really get clear on what they need for themselves and their business. So what is the purpose of a coach? And I want to specifically talk about business coaching. What expectation should you expect for them? What's their role? And my stance is that your business coach should be helping you with strategy. They should be helping you develop what is a strategy that makes sense for you, your business model, for your target clients, for the vision and mission that you've identified for your business. They should be helping you identify that strategy to help set the goal or meet the goal that you set out in your business. Your coach should also be helping you build knowledge. And so when I say build knowledge, meaning they have experience in certain areas that you may not have experience yet, but because they've been there, done that, got a t-shirt, they can help give you the game and help share you the knowledge for new things as they come about in your business. So the first time you get a chargeback in your business, your coach should be able to provide knowledge on how to navigate that type of situation, right? The first time that your systems break and your internet went out midway through your webinar and you weren't able to give your call to action, and now you're trying to figure out how do you save all the work that you put into it and all the resources, and how you prevent it from being a complete flop. Your coach has probably been there, done that, and help you figure out a contingency plan. And then your coach should also provide you with feedback. And so if you've ran a play, you got data on how the webinar went, or how the sales call went, or how the conference went that you were speaking at, they should be able to be side by side with you and looking at that data to help give you feedback on what they see, given the game plan that you're thinking about. If you're thinking about running a play or executing, they should be able to give you feedback on your strategy, feedback on how things went. They should help you be able to run kind of a data analysis meeting on how things went. That is the role of a coach. Oftentimes, people are looking for coaching when they actually need therapy, because coaching is not therapy. And what I mean by that is your coach is not your therapist. And I think there is sometimes an expectation or misaligned expectation when it comes to coaching that your coach is supposed to help you get unstuck with your mindset. And if they're not a mindset coach, it's actually not their role or responsibility. Or if there's certain things where you're afraid to show up, if you're afraid to be visible, or if you get overwhelmed with fear when it comes to taking certain actions that you need to take in your business, well, you don't need a business coach, you need a therapist, right? And I say that from a place of being really clear and direct, because that's, I think, some of the reason why some people find themselves kind of spinning in a circle is because they're seeking the solution in the wrong place. They're seeking a mindset issue from a business coach when actually the need is actually therapy. You need to talk to a licensed mental health professional. And I believe we all need therapy. As someone who is in therapy and has been in therapy for years on years on years, I have a therapist who supports me through some of those mindset pieces that come up of some of the lessons or narratives that I've been taught from a really young age that are now showing themselves and are no longer serving me as an entrepreneur. I go to my therapist and talked about that. I don't go to my coach. I don't go to my business coach because they're not a certified professional when it comes to mindset, but that's also not their role. And so when we're talking about what coaching is and is not, coaching is not therapy, right? And I think we just have to be really clear with that. As coaches, we also have to be clear with that as clients. So that way we don't set ourselves up for disappointment, because disappointment is when reality does not meet expectations. And some of us are just expecting the wrong things from the wrong people. I'm so excited to have you here on the 7-Figure Educator podcast. And this is just an appetizer to what's waiting for you inside of our broader community, the 7-Figure Educator community, and the perfect opportunity for you to be able to dive into that amazing, dope community is at my 3-day live event. And you've guessed it, it is called 7-Figure Educator Live. It goes down once a year in Atlanta, Georgia, and I would absolutely love to have you in the room. It's 3 days of content, community, and fellowship. I can guarantee this is like no other event that you have been to before. I don't even call it a conference because we are litter than a conference. So to join us, go ahead, run to the show notes and grab your ticket at 7figureeducator.com, and we will see you in Atlanta. What coaching also is not. Coaching is not an accountability partner, or I don't believe it should actually be your accountability partner. Well, I hear some folks that say, I need a coach so that I can be held accountable. And I'm like, well, you don't need coaching. You need to unpack a mindset as to why you can't hold yourself accountable, right? And I know it sounds very direct. I know if for some people it might sound harsh, but that's the reality. Is you cannot delegate the responsibility and health of your business to someone else. Because it's not a coach's responsibility to make sure that you're executing on your business. That's your responsibility. So I say, if you need help with accountability, then actually you don't have an accountability issue. You have a commitment issue. You have an issue of how deep your commitment flows to your business. And the commitment right now is not yet deep, which that's not good or bad. It is what it is. But if you want a deeper commitment, the answer is not, I need a coach who's going to hold me accountable, because you're just setting yourself up for expectations, because your coach cannot solve your commitment issue. Only you can. I believe that there are some people who expect their coach to be their biggest cheerleader. And while I think this is a nice to have, I don't believe this is a need to have. And what I mean by that is it's not their primary responsibility to be cheering you on. We as humans, we need that level of affirmation. We need that type of reassurance. But if someone else cheering you on is actually the fuel for you to keep going in your business, again, there's a commitment issue, right? Because if your ability to keep growing your business is dependent upon whether or not someone is encouraging you and praising you, if that is what you absolutely need to keep going in your business, then that's a different type of conversation that we need to have. So I think it's great when coaches can affirm, when they can encourage, but to need a cheerleader through your coach, I don't believe that that's the best person that you should be expecting. That there might be someone else who's better aligned to do that, but I don't believe that's the primary role for a coach. So I want to take a moment and compare. We have strategy, we have knowledge building, and we have feedback. Is what a coach is. What a coach is not is your accountability partner, your therapist, and your biggest cheerleader. Right? And again, if they cheer you on, that's great. But to expect that from a coach, for that to be their primary role, again, there's a deeper opportunity to unpack if you walk into a coaching relationship directly looking for, I need somebody to cheer me on, right? Because as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to learn and how to build the muscle of how can you cheer yourself on even when it gets really hard. So I wanted to share with you a couple of things that I think about when I'm picking coaches. I stay very clear and laser focused on I'm entering into this relationship looking for strategic advisement, for support with strategy, support with feedback, and helping me build my knowledge. And so there's lots of different people that might be able to play the role, but how do I know when it's someone that I want to enter into that coaching relationship with? Well, the first thing I think about is, are we aligned in our values? And when I say aligned in our values, meaning how do you do business? So how you do business is a reflection of your values. And there's some very clear values that I have that if other people have different values and it shows up in their business practices, that's not a business that I want to emulate or model after. And so if they have values that just don't align, that's not the coach for me. Secondly, have they achieved what I desire? So I'm not going to pay a coach if you haven't achieved where I desire to go, right? So looking forward of what are my goals in business, and my coach should have already achieved or surpassed that goal to be able to look back and give me the wisdom and knowledge in order for me to get there too. They ideally should provide an opportunity for us to date a little bit. And what I mean by dating is I just don't go from I found you online to let me, drop a few bands. And when I say few, at this stage of business, I'm expecting to pay multiple 5 figures in investing in coaching. I don't go from I saw you online to let me pay you for coaching. I'm looking for a way to date. And what that typically looks like for me is I don't even want a webinar. I want to get in your room. Like if you're hosting an event, if you're hosting a summit or a seminar, I actually want to get in the room because that's how I'm going to get most clearest, most quickly on what your values are. Because now I get to see the culture that you've created. I get to see who else is showing up. I'm getting ready to hear the conversations that are being had on stage by the buffet line and the line for the restaurant. I'm getting to hear the culture that's a reflection of the leader to get really, really clear on, is this person aligned with my particular values? That's a little bit harder to assess on Zoom, which is why for me, at this level in which I'm investing in coaching, I need to be in the room with the person to be able to see some of those things you really can't pull out on Zoom. And then lastly, have they worked with other people who A, look like me, and B, are in a similar stage of business? So if I go to your website and you ain't got no Black women as testimonials, I got questions. And I'm like, I don't know if that's the coach for me because I don't see nobody who look like me that you coached. And what does that mean that nobody who look like me is on your website, right? What about your values or some other aspect of your business is not attracting people who look like me, right? And so I would have deeper questions there. But for me, that would give me a little bit of pause if I don't see other people who share my identity that have been your previous clients and have also gotten results. So those are a couple of things that I think about. And I'm curious on some of the reactions of what coaching is and is not. I feel like I might have hurt somebody's feelings in this conversation, and I'm okay with that because I believe that sometimes we expect more from other people than we expect from ourselves. And when we're stepping into a coaching relationship, I think it's really important in order to get the most out of that coaching relationship, you got to be really clear around the roles and responsibilities of you and the roles and responsibilities of the coach, because when there's misalignment, disappointment happens, right? And anytime you're stepping into a coaching relationship, you want the best for both parties. And a huge part of that is getting really clear on the expectations for both. So let me know in the comments your feedback from this episode. Let me know what stuck out to you. I would love to hear experiences that this might have prompted you to think about or to recall. And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. Click the subscribe or follow button so that way you know when the next episode will drop. And we'll see you on the next episode of the 7-Figure Educator podcast.